If you're ready to give up on yourself, hear me out right now because I've got a message for you. Life is not easy, my friend. Sister, brother, we are here for hardship. And although love is what will unite us, we must go through some challenges before we can unite. Now, we as individuals have a responsibility to look after ourselves, to look after our loved ones, to care for those that we love, and that includes ourselves. However, life has been designed in such a way that when all gets too good, or when all becomes too bad, we as humans have this tendency to self-sabotage. Now, I just had a question that came up, and I want to ponder this question with you in the comments. So, maybe we do actually have a tendency to self-destruct because it's our human nature. But the question that came up was, what if it actually isn't our human nature and we've just been biologically and intellectually designed from generations ago to think and feel and act a specific way, which results in when success is obtained, we want to throw in the towel. Let's go deeper. When we're having a heartbreak, we want to finish life early. And these are just forms of self-destruction. And everything is self-imposed. So when you are suicidal, what's happened is your external world has created so much pressure that you physically cannot take it. The consequence of that pressure can lead some people to do specific things, which is unrighteous and unforgiving because of a hard time that they had. Now, I'm gonna put my hand up and say I've been in that exact place. I was sat on a cliff 10 years ago. I'd had enough, mate. But lucky for me, I bumped into someone in the job that I worked at, and we got talking. I explained a bit about my situation, and look, he removed me out of the environment and gave me an opportunity. I met a friend. Wasn't a friend for life, but we made a lot of good memories for a very long time. So thanks, and I appreciate the time that we had together. But let's go back to these times that are really detrimental to ourselves, self-sabotage, and the moment of wanting to throw in the towel, because let's bring some awareness to this right now. I have this perception that you have to suffer to a degree, or you have to go through some level of challenge in life. Maybe you got to slay a dragon, or you got to fucking do 10 laps of Mario Kart or something, and whatever that may be, whatever your life is, the Mario Kart can be a representation of your emotions being here, there, and everywhere until you can finally align with them and realize that you were just playing games on yourself. But we don't know this until we understand what's being displayed on our external world, and we get to a point, and I have to say that it is completely our fault for poisoning our minds and taking ourselves to the point where we're ready to call it a day. Yes, love and time molds an individual, but it's up to you and your emotional state on how you deal and react, respond to the situation. So let's say that you've got heartbroken. You are broken because you allowed that person to break you. It's tricky because we say we love someone and it means that we want them to make us happy, and when they don't show up in the way that we need them to, like disappointment or expectation, it shuts us down and it puts us in a place of potential resentment or hatred or just anger towards the person when they were just displaying your worth. They were just displaying like your emotional state. Like when you feel emotion, I'll take you back to another story. I broke up with a girl a while back when I was in the UK, and it was the longest relationship I had to heal from because I kept in that environment. I kept, like, every time I go past this city, the two cities were split between each, or towns, whatever you want to call them. They were like one here, and I was in here, and I went up here to come back round. And every time I come into the city, I'd have that emotional response, and that was simply a identity that I created in that environment because of a heartbreak that happened. And it took me so long to actually move through and understand that it wasn't anything to do with her. She just displayed actions and displayed an identity which I didn't pay attention to, which broke me. Let me reframe that. Which I allowed to break me because I invested my emotional state into her and into the environment. It wasn't through being angry. It wasn't through resentment. It wasn't through trying to push her away. It was through being okay with myself. And this is where I really had to learn solitude, like being isolated from the world. Life really is based on the time, experience, and energy that you're presenting out to the world. So if you really like a situation and it shuts you down, it's because you've allowed it and you've invested so much energy into this place. Let's go back to suffering. That what's happened is this pressure is just coming. And it's like, it's shaking. You don't know what to do with it. You feel like your heart's getting worse. But the thing we actually forget to do is breathe. Because we are busy stuck in the body, focusing on the emotions and the environment, that we forget the one fundamental key that is actually controlling our whole experience, which is our minds. And a lot of us are unconscious because we're so hurt and we're so busy numbing the pain with something else or running from the situation that we cannot take it anymore. And this is what happens. We tend to punish ourselves and self-sabotage ourselves because we have been so dependent on something to fix us or to provide something in the first place that when it didn't show up for the way we saw it, it started to cause the suffering. Maybe life is like a game and you have challenges. And when I talked about challenges, I was thinking about the human race. Now, if we are all one and we keep repeating history, meaning that we keep having this event which wipes out the human race and then we come back. What if we had to actually unite as a race in order to collapse time and space and go back to our rightful place? Because who's to say this wall, this room, I, self, is actually real? Who's to say you watching this is actually real? I'm going to give you a perspective when things like this arise, because we go up and we come down and we go up and we come down. But what I need you to do is when you come down, don't punish yourself for falling. Instead, I need you to focus on the slip. What caused it? And the way you're going to do this is you're going to break it down. You're going to get a piece of paper out and you're going to write the slip. All right? And you're going to break it down in sections, like on a timeline, even if it's minute after minute. This is what happened this minute. This is what happened this minute. An hour later, this is what happened. And I want you to observe the pattern that's actually happening when you come down into that state of pressure. Because without pressure, you cannot grow. But if you do not learn from the lesson, you will continuously repeat the same pressure until you get the right consistency in order to grow. Now we've shifted our perception on the slip and what's caused it. Instead of just falling, we all fall. My good friend, shout out to him. He'll know who he is. We are all human, for fuck's sake. And give yourself a moment of grace and love for actually being here right now. You've given yourself this time and opportunity to be here, to work on yourself, to look for something deeper when I am just a reflection of you. You're looking for information, right? So you go to YouTube or you go to social media in order to find something to expend your intellect. So what you're doing right now is you're looking at a reflection. Because what is to say that I, self, is no different than you, self, right? I'm going to leave you with that one. On that note, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video.